Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we're putting on our detective hats because we're looking into a fascinating little word that actually leads a bit of a double life. It's got this dual identity going on. Now, it's definitely a word you've probably heard, or maybe even used yourself, but you might not have fully realized the distinct grammatical rules operating behind the scenes. So let's jump right in and investigate exactly how it functions.
Okay, to kick things off, I want you to picture a highly relatable scenario. Let's say you borrow your friend's super nice, really expensive mountain bike, and unfortunately, it accidentally gets a huge scratch on the frame while you're riding it. The big question is, who has to pay for it? It's an everyday dilemma, right? It boils down to a fundamental question of consequence, fault, and most importantly, responsibility. I want you to hold that specific concept of responsibility right at the front of your mind.
Now, flip the script and contrast that with a totally different situation. Imagine you're outside, and dark storm clouds are rapidly gathering on the horizon. They're getting heavier, darker, more menacing. What is the sky about to do? Well, it's gonna rain, obviously. But in this case, we aren't talking about anyone's fault or responsibility at all. Instead, we're predicting an impending event. We're looking at a situation and determining what is highly probable. Now, what if I told you there is one single vocabulary word that perfectly captures both of these entirely different concepts, the responsibility of the scratched bike and the probability of the gathering storm?
Well, that secret agent word is liable. It's pronounced with 3 distinct syllables, liable. Grammatically speaking, it's an adjective, a describing word used to modify nouns to show that they are in a very specific state or condition.
All right, let's break this down visually. Think of the word liable like a giant, sturdy architectural arch. It has 2 heavy anchor senses holding the whole thing up. Step 1, the foundation over on the left side, is the legal anchor. This means you are held literally responsible by law. Step 2, the foundation on the opposite side, is the everyday anchor, meaning something is simply likely to happen. But step 3 is what magically brings it all together. The bridge connecting these 2 anchors at the very top is the overarching concept of being subject to something, whether that means you are subject to the blame or just subject to a likelihood.
To brilliantly illustrate that first anchor, think about reading a strict contract that says you will be liable for any damage to the car. We are seeing exactly how the word functions in a rigid, legal, or financial context here. If you rent a vehicle, sign an apartment lease, or, borrow that friend's bike we talked about earlier, being liable means the rules, or the law, dictate that you're the one holding the bag. You are strictly accountable. You are legally responsible.
But then, stepping completely out of the courtroom and into everyday life, we hit our second anchor. Consider the phrase, "The river is liable to overflow with all this recent rain." Here, we absolutely aren't talking about the river being legally responsible in a court of law. I mean, you can't sue a river, right? That wouldn't make any sense. Instead, we're describing an event that just has a really high probability. Because of the heavy rain, the overflow is simply very likely to happen.
This crucial point is really driven home with one more example. Any human is liable to error. This completely reinforces that everyday sense of the word, but it highlights something super specific. It represents being open to a risk or a vulnerability, because to be human is to be subject to making mistakes. It's an innate condition. It's a risk that we are all inherently exposed to, day in and day out.
Word detective. Usage rules. Cracking the code of 4 versus 2.
Okay, what's genuinely fascinating about this word is that there's a clear binary split. How do you know instantly which definition an author actually means? Well, there's a built-in grammatical cheat code. Just look closely at the preposition. When liable is followed by for, it almost always points to being legally responsible. You are liable for the damages. But when it pairs with to, it signals that everyday meaning of being likely to happen. It's liable to rain.
But wait, hold on, because there is a subtle but absolutely crucial nuance you need to know about using liable to. It almost always carries negative leanings. It points toward unwanted outcomes. For example, as a society, we frequently say a poorly designed system is liable to fail, but we rarely, if ever, say a great system is liable to succeed. You wouldn't enthusiastically tell a friend, "Oh man, you're liable to win the lottery." We reserve liable to for the risks, the errors, the pitfalls, and those dark storm clouds gathering on the horizon.
So now that we've totally cracked the code, I want you to try spotting it in the wild. Actually, try it yourself. Write one sentence using liable to mean responsible and one using it to mean likely. It's honestly amazing how a single, tiny preposition, 2 versus 4, completely shifts the entire weight of a sentence from a simple prediction of the future to a binding legal responsibility. It kind of makes you wonder,
What other everyday words are hiding a double identity right under our noses? Thanks so much for joining this explainer, and we will see you next time.